Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Papa Boris here, playing some more Meteorfall Krumit's Tale. It's time to do a run with Mischief, the rogue. Now, the designer did an amazing job, I think, with this rogue, because on the one hand, it is a very strong character, but at the same time, she can be fragile. She's kind of a glass cannon. Her stamp is quite game-changing, Riffraff. What it does is it gives her stealth when she starts combat against an enemy that is alone in its row. Now, stealth is not unique to Mischief. Anyone can get stealth. I mean, technically, it is a property that can apply to anyone, and if you have stealth, it means you do +2 damage, or +3 if you have a weapon active. Now, the thing about Mischief is that her base attack starts at 1 instead of 2, so when she doesn't have this, she is incredibly vulnerable. Mischief does have a lot of cards that really accentuate and work well with this starting stamp, but if your board gets clogged with enemies, or if you don't get the right cards, you can just go down in flames. It's funny, because when she was released in early access, like the very first day, people were like, oh, Mischief's overpowered, and then I just died repeatedly and could not get anywhere with her. So it's a very tough character to learn how to play, but also a rewarding one. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a quick introduction to how things work with Mischief. So, with Bruno and with Greybeard, if you fight one of these 6 health people, you're going to take 3 damage, because you're going to hit them 3 times, and they're going to hit you twice. 1 + 2 is 3. With Mischief, it's a little bit different. Notice she deals 3, because her base attack is 1, but she has stealth, because the peasant was alone in her row, so that's 1 + 2 is 3. So I hit her, she hits me for 1, and now my base attack drops down to 1. So if I were to just keep pounding this lady, I'd have to hit her 3 times, and she'd hit me twice, so I'd actually take an extra 1 damage up here. So what you have to do, it's very important, is you have to actually flee when you're fighting enemies like this, and then go back in and get stealth again, and then you kill her in 1 hit. So she can get an enemy killed, taking 3 damage with nothing, just like the warrior and the mage can, but unlike them, the enemy has to be alone in its row for Mischief to pull that off. And I just really admire how the designer managed to make, this seemingly abstract roguelike setup so thematic for the rogue, because you really feel like, if there's 1 enemy out there, then you're very strong. But if there's like 2 enemies out there, then, you're in trouble. Okay, so some of Mischief's cards. The worst card she's got in her deck is this leather helm. You get a gold when you pick it up. It's a 2 durability, 1 armor item, which is awful because you can pitch anything for a gold and gain 2 health. And 2 health is pretty much what 2 uses of what 1 armor is. So it's a pretty terrible, terrible item. The dagger is serviceable, 2 damage, 2 gold, 2 durability. It's overpriced for that, but as a starting item, it's fine. She has the standard health file and a couple of rechargeable abilities. This knocks an enemy out, and you recharge it when you defeat an enemy. So what you can do, and this is not necessarily the best play, but just to illustrate, you can do something like this, where you fight the peasant, hit her. Maybe I should have actually done this in the last fight, and then you knock her out, so you don't take that 2 damage. And then when the peasant falls back in, you'll be able to kill it in 1 hit. One of Mischief's coolest cards is Stab. This is just a 0-cost thing. It deals 1 damage to an enemy, but it spawns an extra copy of itself when you pick it up. So I'm just going to actually stab this town guard to death and just kill it like that. Alright, and we'll go ahead and just pick up this dagger. So with the dagger, I'm actually able to one-shot a peasant because you do an extra 2 with the dagger, plus 1 from stealth, because stealth does 2 bonus damage normally, or 3 bonus damage if you equip a weapon. So I'm just going to go ahead and kill that thing in 1 hit and not take any damage. And then there's the one I damaged earlier, so we'll kill her. And then this one, I think we can actually kill using the knockout trick, because I hit her, she hits me for 1, and then I knock her out instead of dying. And then she falls back into the board, and I can just kill her. Wait. First, I'm going to pick up a stab, because stab makes a copy of itself. If you have space in your inventory, you essentially get an extra tile for the end of dungeon gem bonus. Now, this was actually pretty lucky. I often cannot get 10 tiles at the end of a first dungeon with Mischief, but here we were able to do that. So with Mischief, there's like a lot of things that you have to worry about. So 1 is you gotta have something for like if the board fills up with enemies. 2 is you gotta be able to kill things, because your base attack is 1, and when you start fighting against things with more health than just like 6, you really need to be able to take them down or else you're in trouble. And then 3, you gotta figure out how the hell you're gonna kill bosses, because bosses have a lot of health and you can't really count on one-shotting bosses. Now Plaguebringer is a fun ability. you just destroy someone that's poisoned, but 4 gold is a lot to pay for destroying one thing, even if it does have a secondary effect to adjacent enemies, and you also have to poison that thing. So it's a bit tough to take early. Health potion's honestly not bad for Mischief, because she's going to take a lot of damage. Now, this is a poisoning thing. It's not the best thing for poison. It's also not the best weapon. You awkwardly deal 7 damage with this when you attack. If it were 8, that would be a totally different story. But because it is only 7, it doesn't kill a lot of enemies which have 8 health, which is pretty common, so it's just not that exciting. I'm going to take this health potion. It's fine. As Mischief, you end up taking lots of damage sometimes when things go badly. These are not like super all-star cards, so we'll just take that and hope to get something better in the shop. Okay, so these are all fine. Toxic is good if you get that Plague Doctor's Mask, because then you have these stabs in your deck that can apply poison, which makes it much easier. Let's see, do I have another one in the shop? Oh yeah, I can't see the shop until I pick this, right? Oops. A lot of healing. So there's Restore 2 health if you end combat below 50% health. This is you get a health when you pick up an ability. These are both actually perfectly fine stamps. I'm going to take Adventurer, though. This is just really damn helpful. To get chainmail up front, to get a short sword up front. Even the crappy short sword, which just does 1 damage, allows you to do 5 damage, just starting off. And granted, that's 1 less than 6, but if you can stab an enemy 1 time, you can finish off with a short sword, and sometimes you just use the short sword as an extra attack, so you kind of have a base attack of 2 like the other characters. So I'm going to hope that that helps me out more than this other stuff, although these are all completely reasonable choices. Okay, now the shop. Okay, so there's some interesting stuff going on here. There's actually a lot of good stuff here. So you can consider taking this armor, just because the 3 gold, 3 block thing is, with 3 durability, is perfectly serviceable as a defensive option. This thing is nice because it has 3 uses. It's only 2 gold. Yeah, it's annoying that this only goes up to 7 damage, but the nice thing about this is that it goes through armor, and having armor piercing is nice. Our high roll item here is the Royal Rapier. So what this does is it also has piercing, also deals 3 damage and 3 uses, kind of like the prison shank, but it costs 10 gold. And the reason for that is that if you kill somebody with this, your base stack increases. I think early on, at 40 gems, like this is a case where the gem price is significant, when there's so much other good stuff in the shop, I don't think I can afford to go for this, but I don't mind going for a big gold strategy at some point and picking this thing up. It's just not the right time. The Blackjack's fine. You pick it up, and you gain stealth. And if you're fighting an enemy alone in its row, then you can stun them with it. I like that it's an unconditional stun, provided, of course, the enemy is alone in their row. This is one of the main answers that you have to the question, how do I kill bosses? Because if you can stun bosses a bunch of times, you can get extra attacks. And so I'm going to get the Blackjack. I'm going to get this to kill things that have armor. And I would actually like to get this dart gun. This is a bit of a weird one, but there's another item I'm hoping to get later that deals damage to an enemy equal to its poison level. And this thing does gain durability back. If you acquire potions, it restores durability, and I did pick up a potion in my treasure chest after the run. So I'm going to get this for the future. And I'm going to pass on the armors, although... Actually, I can actually get one of them. Hang on, I have to throw away 2 things. So we're going to get rid of the 2 leather helms, which are terrible. And then I actually could get one of these armors. So this one is 5 armor, but you have to have stealth. So it's cheaper than this one, blocks more, but only activates if you have stealth, which means that the enemy has to be alone in its row. This is more unconditional. Let's take the cheaper one that is conditional. We'll seem to be off to a pretty good start here. Now, as far as what to delete next, I don't want to get rid of this potion because it restores durability to the dart gun. The hide skill I'm not a huge fan of, especially because it takes up space in your inventory. You have to kill 3 whole enemies to recharge it, which is a lot. Gaining stealth is good, but I have the Blackjack for that. So what else would it be? I don't want to get rid of the health file. I don't want to get rid of a treasure chest yet. I mean, if I get rid of the chest, I can always pitch a hide for 1 gold. It's not that much worse than... Yeah, the chest has to be worse than the hide skill. Okay, so that was actually quite eventful. That was a very lucky shop. I don't usually get that many good things in one shop, or at least that many playable things. So we are off to a decent start here, which is good because I'm not that good with this character. Okay, so these guys are actually really... it's actually quite lucky. It's very lucky that I'm in a level with these guys because they have 4 health. They have Blitz, but when you have Stealth, you actually have Super Blitz, which really only has 1 impact, which is that you go ahead of enemies that have Blitz. So I can't just kill them, and I would take 4 damage for doing so. However, Another option would be to use my short sword, or to use my chainmail. Either one of them would let me get through these guys. So which do I think is less valuable, the short sword or the chainmail? I guess probably the short sword is less valuable because I have other weapons, but not many other armors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these matches to put this guy on fire. Then I'm going to use a short sword to kill this thing. So it's very lucky. The short sword lets me kill it. Normally enemies have 6 health, and you can't actually avoid a damage, but when these guys have 4 health, you can kill them. Now the guy takes 1 burn damage for falling down, and then I can kill him just with my natural ability. First, though, I'm going to burn this guy, so that when I kill this one, and the other one drops, he's down to 3 health. Now, problem, of course, is that he's not alone in his row right now. But I happen to have a couple different ways of dealing with it. I could buy this dagger and make it drop down. I could pick up a knockout and shuffle 1 back into the deck. I could take the hide skill. Sure, we'll take the hide skill. Why not? So we'll take it. Let's get stealth. And then we'll kill this guy. Okay, then we're going to use up the last tick of the matches on this. Wait a minute. Hold on. It's awkward. If I buy the armor, this guy's going to drop down and be with the other snot wolf. Well, I could just use my chainmail. It's fine. Yeah, let's use the tick of the chainmail. Let's kill this guy because this guy's being annoying. So the chainmail actually stuns him because it parries, which means that my 1 pitiable damage is enough to finish it off before he can blitz me again. Okay, now I am going to light that guy on fire, buy this armor, and kill him. Stealth. This is a very lucky 2nd level to have. It's quite fortunate that I got these 2 monsters. Now the barbarians, interesting, I only got 1 of them. That's actually quite lucky because these are sort of like a tier 2 enemy because they, like if you imagine having a 2 basic attack, you're gonna take 4 damage to kill one, which is a bit more than from your like skeletons and peasants. But for Mischief, they're actually quite easy because you only need to do 1 damage to them and then you can stealth them to death. And then there was only one of these barbarians who was the tougher enemy here. This 5 attack business is annoying. So it's actually very annoying because I would love to block this with my armor, but that would mean I'd have to have stealth. But the only way I can have stealth in the 2nd round of combat is if I flee during the 1st round, but this does not count as fleeing, it just counts as not fighting. So it's very irritating. What I really need here, I think, is this knockout. Because if I have knockout, I can hit him with stealth, and then I can knock him out for his armor turn. Yeah, okay, so what we'll do is we'll use the chainmail, because the chainmail is not actually useful against the barbarian. And then that happens, and so now I can pick up the knockout, or I could just blackjack, right? Isn't that basically the same thing? So I bought this armor, and I never used it. It was probably a bad decision to do that. Yeah, 'cause it's wasting inventory space. I mean, I can kill this thing in a variety of ways. What if I just bought this dagger?
What a find!
So now if I just use both my weapons, what am I doing? 7? You know what? At this point, it's fine because it's the last enemy. Why am I overthinking this so much? I just need to run away. I just take 5 damage. Note he has armor up, so I can't like kill him. But then when you flee, the armor goes away, and then he's dead. Okay, cool. That was incredibly lucky. So this is not unfortunately representative of most Mischief runs, but we had a good first shop, an amazing 2nd dungeon with exactly the right enemies for us. If I die now, it'll all be my fault. Okay, this is a really tough spot. So Assassin School is very good. You get +1 base attack for killing 5 enemies. The problem is it takes up space in your inventory. It costs 3 gold. So it's making it harder for you to do this. And last time I played, it was bugged. It did not actually give you stealth when you acquired it. This is Stab, which is, even though it's a starting card, it's a perfectly good card to have more of. I'm going to take the Dragon's Gold. It's a bit frisky to do this because you want to take this, like, you know, ideally after you get some way of using all this gold. But I want to have this available because I did get a very good first shop. I did pad my deck with a bunch of, you know, better than starting level items. And now if something like the Royal Rapier comes along, I can actually support it.
Choose wisely.
Okay, well, we have a lot of interesting stuff here. So Poet is oftentimes a really strong ability. Right now, it would copy Hide and Knockout, which are rechargeable things, so it's not super useful. And there is another really good option here, which is Rich. I'm not a super big fan of Scrapper, and Beggar, of course, I have the Adventurer stamp, which starts me off with 3 things in my inventory, so this is pretty much never going to activate. But Rich is always fine to get 2 extra gold at the beginning. It frees you up, and that's one of the things you have to worry about with Mischief, is how am I going to deal with, like, a situation where I have a bad start with lots of enemies on the board. Okay, we've got some fantastic stuff here. Holy crap. This is incredible how much good stuff I'm being offered. This is a really great item. 4 attack is important because that deals 8 damage from stealth, and it's got 3 uses, and it puts 2 stabs in the deck, which means you can have more stabs, or it just means you get like 5 extra gems at the end of the run for each stab. So I'm definitely grabbing that. That's amazing. This thing is incredible. It does a stupid amount of damage. It's 6, but also plus 4 if you have stealth. So it does 10 damage. So you can one-shot up to 11 health with this. Obviously, there's no 11 health monsters. They all have even amounts of health. But up to 10 health monsters you can one-shot with this. Very important to get this if you have the option. This adds 2 copies of Stab to the deck. It actually is a good reason to have the Poet Stamp. Because if you have the Poet Stamp and you get these, and you get 2 of them and you get 4 stabs. That's amazing. If I had taken Poet, I'd be buying it. As it is, it's like, yeah, I'm not that excited about it. We can get into one of these dart guns, which is a way to try to kill a boss. Even without the other combo piece that deals damage to an enemy for every stack of poison it has, just like foofing like a boss with both dart guns would give it a 12 poison stack, and then all I'd have to do pretty much is survive 1 hit from this next boss, and I'd be good to go. The longbow is also fine. 2 gold for essentially 2 enemy kills is great too, so it's a fairly valid option here. Let me see, what am I removing from my deck? I think the time has come to get rid of our starting daggers. I think these, now that I've picked up 2 great weapons, are not that useful. And I'm actually going to get rid of Hide, because Hide is very marginal, and I do have this Blackjack to kind of make up for it. So we're going to get rid of Hide. It's not as good as, in my opinion, the Knockout, because the Knockout has utility in combat and recharges after only 1 enemy is killed. So yeah, I can now buy 1 more thing, and it'll fit in my deck. The Dart Gun. If I ever do get that item that deals damage to an enemy equal to its poison level, it would be good to have both these dart guns. But if I don't get that, then I'm putting something in my deck that's basically just a gold and 2 health. There is another reasonable option here. This longbow helps me kill stuff. Okay, we're going to get the longbow. I could still buy the dart gun. At this point, what am I replacing for the dart gun? That's kind of the problem, is I guess I'm replacing this dagger. Is it worth it replacing a dagger for a dart gun and spending 25 gems? No, I think I'm going to just keep that dagger in there. So we'll do it like this. This is the boss who gains an armor whenever you slay another enemy in the dungeon, which is fine by me because I do have an armor-piercing prison shank, armor-piercing longbow, and armor-piercing poison. Plus, this does so much damage, it can just do damage over the top to him. So I'm in pretty good shape against this. Watch me die, everybody! Watch me die! Okay, so we got 4. By the way, I haven't mentioned this, but I've actually been pretty lucky with the numbers of enemies that have been spawning. I have not actually had that many enemies spawning. Only 4 is pretty good. You can definitely, be worse off. So now, how do we deal with this board? It's still a tricky board to deal with because I could just take 3 damage and kill this thing. I have chainmail. What's the point? I don't need to take damage to kill this thing. No, we'll just kill it with chainmail. That's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it for 3. Pound it, and then flee, and then just come back and kill it. I think it's fair. That saved me 3 health, actually, this chainmail, and I'm completely happy with that, because as Mischief, health is pretty valuable. Now remember, the longbow only works on enemies in the top row, so I don't think it's a good use of my gold right now, but this shank is actually amazing because I can actually kill both of these ancient skeletons with that shank. I just needed to come up onto the board, and I need to have room to use it. Main issue is the skeleton. I don't have stealth against them. So, I mean, I could just fight it. I could just, do this and use my short sword and use basically all 3 ticks of the short sword up to kill it and not take any damage. Is that worth it? Other options are I could buy the dragon's gold, then the shank appears. And I could destroy something with the dragon's gold to then have the gold to buy the shank, but I don't have the space for the shank. Yeah, let's just frickin' use this adventurer stuff. So now we just kill it and we take no damage. I'm being fairly conservative with my health. because I do have a potion, but it can get you into trouble sometimes to be a little bit overly liberal with your health expenditure when you're playing as Mischief. Okay, so we'll just keep it real simple. I'm just going to use this prison shank to kill all 3 of these ancient skeletons. I know it's a little bit spendthrift, but I can always get gems back by picking up a stab, and the further in the game you get, the more tiles are in the deck, so using one to kill something is not as big of a deal. Now, if I buy this longbow, I can kill both skeletons with it. The problem is that they'll be in the same row. It's not a big problem. I could just, like, take any one of these thingies and shoot one. Oh, wait, no, if one drops down, I'd have to take... No, I could just shoot them both, pick up something else, and then stealth them both to death. Is that fine? Am I being too conservative with my health? I mean, I have this. This will restore 6 health. So, if I just buy this, or just pick it up for free, I could take 3 damage from each of them. It's the same thing as the longbow, but the longbow is more flexible, and it can potentially do damage to the boss, who is getting all this armor from all the stuff I'm killing. Okay, we'll do it that way. Or I could just take this dagger. Why not just take the dagger and use the dagger to kill the skeletons? I mean, it's the same thing. So I'm basically killing the skeletons with one of these things. I guess we'll make it be the health potion. So now we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. Blorp. Flee. That's 3 total damage. Blorp. And then we'll do it to this guy. And flee. And he's dead. Okay, so now we got this guy. He's got 27 health. He is pretty big-ass attacks, though he does sleep through the first round, so there's that at least. Man, that's 27 health. That's a lot. Because he deals so much damage. My lord. Well, let's see. We could, picking up this potion, pump him with 8 poison. And so then it would take 8 plus 7. I'd have to survive just 3 rounds to just let the poison kill him, basically. And 3 rounds, that would mean I'm taking 9 damage, which is a lot of damage. But that's an option. If I get the Blackjack, I could stun him and prevent some of that damage that way. That seems like a smart play to do that. Okay, we'll try that. We'll pick up this. We'll pump him full of poison. Wait. Hold on. Let's pick that up. Restore durability on that. Then pump him all the way full of... Is this a potion? Does this count as a potion? I actually don't know if this counts as a potion or not. Interesting. Let's find out for science. Is this a potion? Okay, so watch this carefully. 1 durability, and it does count. I had no idea. Wow. All right. Well, now, let's see. I'm just gonna Does putting the matches on this make any difference? And like picking up these stabs, just have them burn a bit. See, 8 plus 7 is 15. Yeah, if I picked up both stabs, though, it's hard to have inventory space for both stabs. Unfortunately, I should have thought about that in advance and put them in a different row where I could, you know, do that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm just trying to be overly greedy here with my gem maximization. Screw it. We'll just burn this dude, and then that lets me pick up... Oh, how about this? Yeah, it's fine. Let's do this. That'll save me 3 health, just like the chainmail did. So the fact that it like requires me to have stealth on is sort of pointless. But yeah, we'll save 3 health there, and we'll save 3 health here. Kill him. I don't care, by the way, about the boss gaining armor from me killing enemies, because I'm basically using a strategy to bypass his armor. Okay, there's the Blackjack. So I think it sucks that I ended up wasting some space. I can't use the armor against him because I'm not going to have stealth mid-combat. There are a few ways to get stealth mid-combat, but actually one of the main ways would be to use the knockout Right. Actually, what I should do, I should just pump him full of poison one last time, pick up knockout.
What a find.
And then, actually, that's dumb. I should have just used 2 ticks of the Blackjack to kill him. That would have been so much smarter than using the last tick of this Brigand armor. So my attack doesn't really do anything. It's just the poison that needs to happen. And so now I knock him out. And then we go in here and I can, like, oh, this actually does work, but I end up having to use the last tick of this. Wait, do I just, yeah, I can actually do this. Hold on, I don't need to use the armor. I'm being very greedy with my gems. But now he kills me, however, I can heal just enough away from that 5 attack that he dies and does not kill me. So yeah, that was, you know, an important demonstration of, I think, one of the main things that took me a long time to figure out about Mischief, which is, like, you have to always be asking yourself, how am I going to kill the boss? Because if you just focus on killing regular enemies, unlike with Greybeard and with Bruno, who can just sort of cobble together some way of dealing with the boss, as Mischief, you're going to get totally screwed. You have to make sure you got something that can handle a dude with tons of health who hits really hard, because it's not exactly easy for you to transition to that kind of thing. Okay, so the boots are fine. They're chainmail with an extra durability and a restoring effect. This thing I really just hate. This is, I'm sure, a thing that people really love. You get a repeatable 4 damage piercing ability. The main issue is it requires a very different type of game than what I'm doing here. Notice I only have 3 abilities, so I'm not going to try to start doing that. I've tried this before. It doesn't work out that well if you don't do it right. So I guess we'll take these, but I'm not that thrilled about it.
Choose wisely.
Okay, so we have a lot of interesting stuff here. The brewer gives you double copies of potions when you pick them up. That can be a big deal because it just gives me lots of extra healing, and it also gives me 2 of these, which would be difficult to use 2 of them, but it does give me that option. However, poisoning enemies when they spawn can be useful because if I have this and I get another one of those Plague Doctor masks, that gives me an option to kill something for 4 gold, which is a lot, but I do have the Dragon's Gold, which can give me lots of gold if I need it. And then this is also a good stamp, and I have matches. So for 3 enemies, I can just burn them and then just get a +1 attack against them. That can be significant because, for example, take an item like this. Shank, 1 + 3 is 4, 4 + 3 from stealth is 7. If I have an extra +1 that deals 8 damage, that can be important. So I'm going to take the Elementalist. It's tough. It might have been correct to go for the Brewer just for more healing, or for this, so that I can activate the Plague Mask. This, by the way, is also totally fine. But this is just a really good batch of stamps. Okay, so now, let's see what we got going. Okay, so I'm going to grab this. This is what I was talking about. You add 1 poison to the enemy, and then they take piercing damage equal to their current poison level. So by itself, if you use all 3 ticks on the same enemy, it'll just deal 6 damage to them, and then they will actually have poison 3 on top of that. So it can be a useful thing by itself. But it goes really well with this dart gun, because if you pop somebody with, let's say, 5 darts, they're going to have 10 poison, and then you use the Sinister Charm on them, they'll take 11, 12, 13 damage. That's a total of 36 damage. So that's not going to kill a boss, but it will go a long way toward killing a boss, plus they'll still have a bunch of poison on it. So now I've got this, like, 2-tile package that I can, you know, a lot of the times just ignore, but if I'm fighting against a boss, I have at least some chance of doing a bunch of damage to that boss. This thing I don't understand. It doesn't seem good. Okay, so like Greybeard has the Fireball, which is 6 piercing damage for 2 gold. This is 6 piercing damage for 1 gold with a condition. It still doesn't seem that good. If I had the Poet Stamp, I'd actually get this, which is maybe an argument for taking the Poet Stamp when you play as Mischief. Similarly, this would be nice if I had the Poet Stamp, because I could lower the cost of abilities to 1 and then get 2 copies of them. This drafts potions, which is not bad. That actually works with this dart gun, because then I get 3 extra uses of the dart gun if I have an extra inventory space for it. It's not a bad idea to pick that up as like a just-in-case sort of thing. And of course, more gold is fine, but I think at the moment, since I have this, I don't necessarily need to take just a random thing that adds gold to my deck. Okay, we'll take the Alchemy Kit. I'm not 100% sure this is the right call, but we'll do it. And I have to delete something. We're going to delete the other basic dagger, because I have a lot of weapons. I've got, this is good, that is good, that is good, this is good, this can be damage, this can be damage. So I have a lot of things that make me not necessarily want to keep an overpriced weapon in my deck. Okay, that's the first third of the run. We'll see how the next third goes. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and or subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.